In this example, I'll show you the online asynchronous equivalent for Think, Pair, Share. I'm going to be using Google Forms here. You might be able to use the learning platform at your school or college, or another tool. Please refer to your school or college guidance on the use of third-party tools. The first stage is to gather the ideas from your learners. I've set up a very simple form here where we have a short text response with a question that I've posed. So this short answer response is where the students will put their thoughts and their answers to this question. I've also included a deadline in my description at the top of the page. I want responses by 3 o'clock on the 1st of May. In the settings, because everyone in my institution has a Google account, I'm able to restrict it to just those within my institution. I haven't asked for people to sign in because actually that information is not relevant for me at this point. I've also enabled learners to submit another response. I'm more interested in gathering as many different perspectives as possible than just restricting to one response per learner. To access the student-facing form, I click the preview link in Google Forms, and then this URL, this web link, is what I will share back to the students to complete the task. Students will then put their responses in this form, and then they would submit their response, and if they wanted to, they could even submit another response, the way I've configured this particular form. When the deadline has reached, I go back to my form, and I look at the responses, and I can see here that I've got 9 responses. So the next stage is to create a new form with these responses. So I'm just going to copy those and then going to forms.google.com, I'm going to create a new form. So again, I've set up my form with a deadline at the top, and now what my learners are going to do is select the statement they agree with the most and the statement they disagree with the most. So with my copied responses, I have a multiple choice question type ready, and all I'm going to do now is paste in. Now, because those responses are on different lines, it's created separate options for each one of those responses. Now I'm just going to quickly look through these responses and remove any duplicates or anything that is irrelevant. So for example, here we have I don't know, we can remove that one. One is good, the other is not, isn't very helpful, so we'll remove that statement. So in the question, I'm just going to ask my learners to select the one they most agree with. And what I've put in here is that they're going to read all the responses from the class, select the statement they agree with the most, and reassure them that it's okay to change their mind from what they originally posted. So I'm just going to emphasize the agree stage here, just by putting that in capitals, because what I'm now going to do is copy that, duplicate that whole question, and then change that to disagree. So now I have 2 questions in my form, an agree and a disagree. Now for this particular form, again, I'm going to look at the settings. I'm going to restrict it to just people in my institution, but also at this time limit it to just one response. In the presentation then, they will not be able to submit another response. So saving that, opening up the form in the preview mode, I've now got a web link that I can share with my students. Now once all the students have had a chance to submit their responses, I can go back to my form at forms.google.com, go into edit and then view the responses. And we can see here that we have 2 graphs that I can now copy and share back with my students. As an educator, it's really clear to me here that most of the students have got that distance learning is about location and online learning is about the method. Though there are still significant proportions where they're agreeing with other aspects, and those are the things that we want to maybe draw out in a synchronous session. For the disagree side, most of them selected online distance the same, they're not different, so it shows that they are understanding the concepts and the differences between online and distance, but there are a couple of responses here that don't quite get that. So again, when we take this back to the synchronous session, that's the learning opportunity for those 2 individuals to understand why the majority have selected that option for the disagree. Now at this stage here, what you could do is share those responses back to the students before the live session. So I'm going to turn off accepting responses. I'm going to go to the settings, scroll down to the bottom, select See Summary Charts and Text Responses and click Save. Now, The URL that's been used to view the actual form, the ones that students submit, all I need to do is change the end of that URL from view form to view analytics. And now this is a link that is available to my students for them to view the results. And the comparisons that take place could take place within a live facilitated session or perhaps on an asynchronous discussion board.